Hi everyone, so excited that you are joining me on this mini course on real estate acquisitions and sales. This is a mini course which will basically handle the biggest myth of all: location, location, location. In this mini course, I will explain to you what the 4 factors are that we need to weigh out in order to determine what the price would be of a property or whether or not you should actually buy that property. So let's get right into it. So once again, let's talk about location and the location myth. Just to debunk it once more. It's not all about location. It comes down to location, price, quality, and condition. Those are the 4 factors that determine whether or not you should buy a property or whether or not your property will find suitable buyers. In this video, we'll talk about location, and the example that I will use is of course Luxembourg, because it's my home country. I'm a real estate agent here and I know this country better than anyone. When it comes to Luxembourg and location, we basically need to look at demographics. Demographics tell us where people live and therefore where we should buy. There's no point of buying in a place where nobody lives, unless you really want to be excluded from society, live somewhere remote and not be bothered by anyone. If that works for you, that's fine. But then don't think about the resale value. Resale value is determined by its location, obviously. So if you're buying somewhere where nobody wants to live, you will not find many buyers for that property, and perhaps the resale value is something that your inheritance should worry about. So, Luxembourg. When we look at Luxembourg demographically, we can see, for instance, that most people live in the center, so Luxembourg City. Then the next part of the demographics is located at the bottom, so in the south, and east and westwards of Luxembourg City. The reason for this is quite simple. We simply have to look at infrastructure, mainly the highways. So the highways basically go from left to right, east to west, in both directions. So there will be one line which crosses from center, basically from Belgium into Germany, and loops around Luxembourg City. And then there's another vein which goes from Belgium once again all the way through Germany once again. But it is located in the south. Furthermore, we have 2 more veins coming up from the south up north and rejoin those 2 lateral horizontal veins. Those veins, highways again, are basically coming up from France and join us in Luxembourg City. That already gives you a lot of information, in my opinion at least. It basically tells you that 1, we have a lot of commuters coming from not just Luxembourg the country, the south, east and west of it, but also from other countries, so from Belgium, France and of course Germany. That gives us a lot of information, and we now already know where the top locations are. We could also look at the train connections, but they are kind of similar and therefore they are not as important to me when it comes to this country. It could be that in your country it is completely different and that everybody relies on trains, and that the trains or trams or metro, what have you, are the most important pieces of transportation that the residents use. So you should stick to what your country tells you. Again, you can find all this data online. Just look at the demographics, take a map and consider where the prime locations are. So let's get back to Luxembourg. Luxembourg has many different cities. Some are bigger than others. Those cities are densely populated and therefore they are prime locations for you to purchase, invest or sell property at a later date. Again, we have to zoom out and then zoom in before we can make a decision on where to buy. When we look at Luxembourg, we can see that first of all, Luxembourg has a lot of people living in Luxembourg City. That's all great and good. But when we look at the demographics, we can see that 70% of those are foreigners. Meaning that most of those people that live in Luxembourg City are actually renters. And the owners of those properties probably live outside of Luxembourg in their homes and have a second property or third or fourth or fifth that they have as an investment, which they put for rent for expats. That's how my city works. Again, your city or your home country might work completely different, so it's up to you to understand what it all comes down for. Okay, now let's move on from those demographics of Luxembourg City and start to look at what else is there. So we can see that there's other cities like Mamer and Capellen, and what else do we have? We have something more towards Steinfort, so that's at the Belgian border. So those are cities which are well populated as well. Again, it's quite simply because the roads come in from Belgium and are a direct connection to Luxembourg City. Then we have the south. The south is basically everything from Dudelange all the way to Rodange. All those cities are extremely densely populated, and this is where you can actually also find cheap properties. So I'm already giving you a little hint on where you should purchase some property. Those cities are basically worker cities, or used to be worker cities, although they actually still are. This was the mining district of Luxembourg. A bit of history here, but what it comes down to is that this is some area which was densely populated from the late 1800s, so 1890, all the way up to 1960, and is still being developed to this day. So when it comes to location, and we've used the example of Luxembourg, you can already determine that those are the parts where you should purchase. Right, let's zoom in again. And by zooming in again, we will look at the different cities. Now, when you buy property, you have to consider, first of course, what kind of property do you want, right? Do you want to have an apartment, a house, or maybe just a small flat, studio? Many things under the sun. But what we're looking at here is location. So we're not looking at the property itself, we're looking at where is it located within that city. Is it located near the station? Already, that is something that you should probably not invest in. I don't know why and how it happened, but in most cities, whenever you are close to a train station, criminality follows. I don't know why, but that doesn't mean that you have to buy a lower price because it is simply just located in a top general location, so the city in itself. Doesn't mean that you have to buy close to that little hub of criminality. Why would you? Why would you invest in that? Plus, you will not find the greatest renters in those areas. No, what we're looking at is just a little bit outside of that area. Not center either, because that is very dense, very densely populated. And because of that, we will have people sitting on each other's laps and basically annoying each other. So you will find renters that are not very happy and want to move out quickly. Or if you bought it as a home, you will probably want to leave as well because it's just too packed. You're just not happy there. There's so much going on. You need to have a bit of calm in your life. Your job is already stressful enough, don't you think? So you will look at properties outside of that little bubble. So not center, not train station. Now next up are the main arteries within the cities. So these are the main streets where basically the inhabitants and workers that come to the city are trying to get to their places of work or homes by connecting it to the highways or maybe the train station. These main streets are usually busy streets. A lot of cars passing through, buses, trams, metros, whatever. There's so much going on that it's not quiet. So you should look at something just outside of that. That's the sweet spot. That's where you want to be. So it's a street connecting to a bigger street. Not too busy either, but close enough and well connected enough to make your investment or future home purchase worthwhile when it comes to resale value or when you want to put it up for rent. I hope you understand what I'm getting at here. We need to zoom out to zoom in and then zoom in even closer. So now that you found that little piece of property, I know this is difficult, right, to find all that. But once you found that little piece of property, now you're looking at the property itself and where it is located on the street. Is it a corner property? Those are not always the best because they come with less garden, still a lot of traffic, bumping into each other. Not the best property. So we're not only looking at the corners, but everything that is in between those corners of intersections. And here we will find different types of houses, different types of properties like apartments or maybe flats or studios, many things under the sun once again. And here we will go deeper into condition and quality, which will follow at a later video. All right, we went through so much right now. I know location is very difficult to determine, but you can do this. This is basically the first step on your quest to finding a property or making sure that you've bought a property that is actually having a good resale value. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment, give a thumbs up, do the subscribe thing, whatever you need to do to follow me. Anyways, I hope to see you in the next video. My name is Michel with Michel Real Estate.